All change, all meaningful change that happens in anyone's life happens at a subconscious level. That just means outside of consciousness. Whether it's above or below, we just call it subconscious, just a catch-all term. Most of the thoughts that we think and the feelings we have aren't things we've consciously chosen. Our conscious mind is something where we choose to direct our attention, but ultimately the subconscious is just producing all these feelings and thoughts, and we kind of just get caught up in them.
Please, mind telling your subconscious to take it easy?
My subconscious. Remember, I can't control it.
What we want to do is concentrate on our subconscious for change, rather than trying to come up with some fancy, conscious strategy that has all these, point A, B, C, and go through all these steps and procedures, where the truth is, most of life we just switch off our, conscious attention to things, and then the subconscious is actually leading us. So we need to get things actually changed at a subconscious level, so the things that are sort of coming up for us and leading us along to our next behavior, our next thought, our next feeling is actually programmed to be serving us rather than taking away from us, or leading us away from the things that we want and the life that we want.
Wait a minute, that's an idea.
All of our efforts are going to be much more successful when we're focused on the subconscious rather than the conscious steps that need to take place. Any consciousness that we do bring to it, we want to be thinking, okay, well, what influences the subconscious mind? What influences the subconscious flow that's being created beyond my consciousness, right? So, most people wouldn't choose to do things that ruin their lives, or to make their lives worse. Of course they wouldn't, And when they do choose that, when you think, okay, this person is obviously, choosing this drama or choosing this negative behavior, it's because they're subconsciously, being triggered or influenced towards that thing, because they're trying to get away from a worse feeling, say.
Please, it wasn't my fault.
You think you can talk your way out of this?
That's what I'm doing here in this channel. That's what all the ideas that I'm presenting here is, sometimes it might seem like it's a little not so concrete. It doesn't have this, step 1, 2, 3, but that's intentional. Like, when you get into this and you connect with this stuff, with this material, it actually makes a deeper, more profound and ongoing change. One that you don't have to constantly fight yourself, consciously try and bring yourself back into it. It's something that we're changing at a deeper level.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Sometimes it might seem like it's not so clear what I'm trying to say. What is exactly the point here? But that would be a conscious thing, to be so clear about what it is. Subconscious means it's not conscious. No matter how hard we try, these things are a little bit opaque. It's hard to put your hands on it because it's not conscious. It's subconscious. If it were conscious, then it would be so ultra clear. It helps to get things as clear as possible, but there's some things that we just got to kind of just connect with. Just get the feeling of it. Connect to a resonance inside of you that says, I kind of get this. This is making sense to me. And that is where some deeper change happens. Beyond consciousness. It's not conscious. That's the thing. The change is happening at a non-conscious level. And that's the point. The point is for it to change at a deeper level. Most change, I'm sure if you think about in your own life, going back thinking about how you've changed over the years, it's not like you consciously decided, okay, here's my strategy, A, B, C, D. You just kind of did what seemed right at the next point. And things were changing. Relationships were changing, contexts were changing in your life, and then you were just kind of being led along through this change. Real, deep, meaningful, ongoing change is something that rarely happens by continual choice of action. It's just something you're inspired into. It's something that just seems right at the time, and you're being nudged along by forces outside of consciousness. We want to understand that as much as possible. It's not always going to be clear because it's beyond consciousness. That's the point. If it seems a bit opaque, unfortunately, something subconscious stuff is just by definition that way. Otherwise, it would then become a conscious thing, and then we're not in the realm of subconscious anymore. So the change isn't going to be as meaningful. So understanding these processes, understanding how we can get our hands on unconscious forces, That is the point of this stuff, and that's what I'm committed to doing here, and will make a much better difference in your life than some fancy strategies that you might hear elsewhere and have failed to do, right? It's a process. So, success is something you're going to kind of come to, at some point, just basically looking back on your life and going, wow, I've changed so much just by by connecting to these ideas. Get them into your head, get them into your consciousness, and then they sort of filter down over time as you live through these things. Just have them in your mind.
Is it worth it?
Oh yeah, it's worth it. If you're strong enough.
So a really great example of a subconscious force that we can actually get our hands on and shift around with our awareness and perceptions is our perception of pain. Until the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of change, you won't. So basically, staying the same is painful, right? If someone's overweight and they're feeling bad about themselves, and their joints hurt, they've got poor self-esteem, they feel horrible, right? So that's painful.
And you feel just like that bag. Empty inside. Don't you?
Also, change is painful, restricting your diet, having to start doing exercise, doing all these things that are perceived as high pain. Whichever one is more painful is the one that you are unconsciously, subconsciously going to be drawn to. It's a natural thing that you're drawn to the least painful thing, right? That's just a program inside of all of our human psychology, inside of the human is made like that. We are drawn to the least painful thing. But it's the perception of pain that makes the difference here, right? So we are drawn to the least painful thing, but then what are we perceiving as the most painful thing? If someone is getting more and more overweight, maybe they've put on 10 kilos in a month, or they've had a rapid growth in weight gain, and then they feel like, at this point now it's just happened so fast and it's so painful. There's just low energy, pain in their body, and then they just go, all right, whatever it is that was needed to make this change, it surely is less painful than this, and at that moment, boom, things start to shift. There's an unconscious tweak there that just shifts over to restricting myself, doing some exercise routine or whatever it is that they think that they need to do is the thing that seems less painful.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
But then, if they sort of start to get into the exercise routine and restrict themselves, and then that's the pain of that, it's so high over enough time, and maybe they lose a little bit of weight and they feel better, then now the pain of going back to the way that they were seems less bad than continuing this horrible, regime. So then they're going to automatically be triggered over to the least painful thing. Each time there's this unconscious program of just, do the least painful thing. If we're doing that unconsciously, completely switched off to an understanding of our subconscious programs, then you're just being kicked around by pain and pleasure, and it's painful. So this is an example, right? And we're going to keep going through more of these as the channel progresses. What we want to do is have a discussion about what are the subconscious leverage points. What are the subconscious things that we can tap into that will create natural change? We will automatically be nudged by our own unconscious, subconscious mind into a more positive place in life, in a place that we want to be and we want to go. So if you want to see more of that, you want to hear more of this kind of material, then click right here and I'll see you there.